Welcome to episode 3 of our adventure here, Graymason, trying to rule the galaxy yet again. We are in the Stoned Ape custom game, 32 players. There's links below to catch the prior games. This is starting at cycle 17. In the first episode, we established our teams. There were 4 teams of 8. And things went well for a while, but then the entire galaxy turned on us. Teams 1, 2, and 3 all decided we needed to die. But like any alliance, the bigger it is, the harder it is to keep it intact. And so what we were able to do is determine who's on the bottom. And clearly there was this Team 1, Team 2 alliance where they were working together, and Team 3 was on the outs. I was able to negotiate with Jubal Fett, with Hex, with Bellum, with Darmody, the only 4 players of 8 on Team 3 left alive. Well, I guess Chicago Reaper's still alive too right there. But only 4 real big players left alive. On our side, we're also down to really 4 and about to be down to 2. It's myself, Skilly, Tenorizu, and Grass Sniffer. Grass Sniffer's all but dead, and Tenorizu agreed to give up his star. So it's going to be Skilly and I representing Team 4. Oh, sorry, and Lofty. He's still doing good work down there, but at this point he's obviously never going to grow into a huge empire. So we have, though, all of our players alive and coming back for refuge to be able to still contribute to the game and contribute banking and do what they can. When we last left episode 2, we saw massive declarations of war. So we saw Hex finally declaring war against Scamp and Pan Blanco. We saw Team 1 declaring war on Hex. We saw Bellum declaring war on Lawrence, and GB declaring war on Bellum. Jubal Fett declaring war on Shorty. So it was perfect because Team 1, really, remember, we were all the way out here, and all that's been taken over primarily by Team 1. And so we were losing ground, and we were able to turn the tides at least a little bit. Now, let's dive in. What's happening now is it's been actually a little over a day, so I missed cycle 16. And there's been a lot of action. So let's dive in. We have really a few fronts. We have the Jubal Fett front, who's facing Team 2 with the support of Skilly and myself. We have Scamp and Pan Blanco that we're still trying to deal with, although I do feel like I finally cracked the nut here. And then we have the southern front. Now, I guess Bellum as well, and he's getting eaten alive. The nice thing is all of the players, actually on both alliances, have found at least 1 star in range, and so trading tech within the alliances, like Scamp is no longer cut off because he's got this star here, for example. So let's jump into the actual game. And let's start up with Jubal Fett. Now we are actually in a formal alliance now, and you can see while he's been taking Stoned Ape stars. He also is starting to lose some of that ground. He's facing the full wrath of Team 2. So Stoned Ape, Short Kings, Better Red Than Dead are all heading his way. He did have some pressure from Lawrence. You see 400, almost 400 ships, but the rest of the ships are down here dealing with Bellum. And so over here, a little bit closer to my side of the map, we're making progress and pushing him back. We're going to probably be able to push back in the next day or so this area and establish that line that we were looking for, so we could not have anyone sneaking in behind the back lines. So I do feel like we're going to start to make some progress in the north against Team 2, which is good. Like I said, in this front against Scamp and Pan Blanco, I finally was able to get across this chasm and be able to see, what all he has. Tenorizu was able to finally make some headway and take out this 24 ships, used to be 800. So he took a huge amount of abuse to get to this point that freed me to be able to go and take this northern base here. I have reinforcements coming in, and so I am fairly confident that all of these will soon fall. And once those fall, and I've got this foothold, I should be able to quickly take the rest. And with Darmody making progress in the south, we should be able to crush him. And that's huge, really huge, because then everything just can shift and flow one way. Right now, I'm having to play that guessing game of where do I split resources. You look at the map, I'm putting some south, some flew across Jubal Fett's territory, some's here, some's going down there. I'm really all over the place trying to put my finger in the dam of where the biggest leak is, and that's hard to maintain. So making progress there, and again, we need to make progress quickly there. Pan Blanco will fall shortly after that. Grass Sniffer's had some things in real life, and so he hasn't been really very active. If he just comes in, just sends all his ships into Pan Blanco, just send everything, that would be good. We're in position to take his stars over from there. And you can see, for example, this is Hex has got a star up here to allow us to trade with him even before we get through. In the center, for Team 4 directly, this is the hardest front because we basically have allowed Belson to get in here and takes a lot more stars than we wanted to. This is the last remnants of Windrunner's fleets, and he's going to be, fighting this off best he can. But we don't have the full attention right now of Belson's apparently sent 1,000 ships up north, and you can see Spymort in the south has sent 1,700. So he's had 1,800 ships come his way. Lofty's going to do his job and blow up as much of this as we can. Looks like Team 10 or the other enemy finally got weapons 10. I'm going to hit it at production, get 11, and so this hits 1 hour after production, so we'll still have a weapons advantage. But they're going to lose a little bit of ground down here, and that's great. I love to see 1,700 ships blow up. That brings him down over a third, over a quarter of his ships are going to be gone for a couple of stars that I think they'll be able to reclaim, I hope. And let's be honest here, let's be clear. I don't want Team 3 to get strong either. I want Team 1 and 3 to fight down here. I want Teams 3 and 2 to fight up here. And I want to be selfishly growing the entire time, helping as much as I can to keep Team 3 alive. Ultimately, I want Team 3 to die. They are my shield. They are Team 4's shield to keep us alive. They're the bigger threat because they're along this border. So, of course, Team 2 has to address that because he's taking things. Meanwhile, I'm consolidating Tenerizu. I'm killing off Scamp. I'm killing off Pan Blanco. And I'm just holding the line. So while they're blowing each other up here, it doesn't matter who slightly wins. As a matter of fact, it's in my best interest for Team 3 to slightly lose. Slightly lose. They can't lose quick. If they lose quick, I'm dead. And that's the balancing act. I want Team 3 to slowly die on both fronts so I can come in and save the day, but they're not strong enough to turn on me. Bellum will probably be dead, but again, all the while that Bellum's fighting things off are times that we're growing and pushing out on the main front, and they can't escape. So I'm also talking to the Jewish Star Empire. Oh, how rude, I did not put his name. Jewish Star Empire down in the corner to talk about, hey, right now, if things keep going as they are, Team 3 dies, then I die, there's no way, and Team 2 is going to not be able to take Team 1 because Team 1's gotten all the benefit of these central stars. So I'm doing the same thing to Team 2 as I did to Team 3, convincing them to work with us. I said, if you're going to flip, if you're going to have any chance of winning, we need to kill Team 1 now. Now, the risk, of course, is we do that too quick and then Teams 2 and 3 team up against me. So I want to be a little careful. So it's this delicate balancing act right now of what to do. Let's see. So beyond that, did we look at all the fronts? Yeah, we looked at over here. it's a cluster in the middle, but again, we're basically just fighting the bishop, who's fairly weak, a token amount of pressure from GB, who's primarily pushing east into Bellum, and a token amount from Belsun, who's just being opportunistic, but primarily focused on Hex. And then over here, so yeah, we're looking good. You can see I've got my a pretty good infrastructure going on. And if we do just a quick look at Intel on total stars, again, GB I think is starting to, he did declare war on Spymort, so one of those is going to consolidate into the other. Economy, oh, I lost two. All right, well, still way out front here. Industry way up top there. Science way up top there, and ships, well, doing a lot of fighting. But you can see GB just took a big hit. Hex just took a big hit. So there's a lot of people that aren't Team 4 taking big hits right now. Again, I'm not immune. I'm still pushing out, and I'm throwing my ships pretty recklessly into the orange masses of Shorty and Scamp, but it's going to start paying off big time. Big time. So, welcome to the third episode. This is really getting interesting, and let's see if we can keep everyone fighting each other and not us, while we continue to grow into being such a huge beast that once they realize they should turn on me, it'll be too late. We're in cycle 18, and it's becoming apparent that Team 1 is starting to pull away with things. When you look back at what the map was even just a day ago, where Bellum had a presence, and we had this solid line here, things have shifted where Bellum is almost dead at this point. And you look at his graph of stars, he's gone from a peak of 23 down to 9, and a measly 1,200 ships. So he is being killed off by GB, and that's a problem. And then down on this front, Hex has just taken an absolute beating from Belson and Spymort. While he hasn't really given up many stars yet, from a ship count perspective, he was at 4,000 down, so he's lost, almost half his fleets, half his ships defending, and he's about to lose another big chunk right here. I do have a formal alliance with him now, and you can see they're also trying to fend off down here in the south. Darmody is finally coming to the front lines. He actually has the second most ships in the game. He's been, from my perspective, fairly idle. But he is coming up now and finally helping on the Scamp. And you can see he's got 1,200 ships. He had another 1,000 ships here. He's divvying off. But he's attacking slow. So here's like an example. He had 520 some ships here, and there's 62 here. He should be sending ships out to every star at the same time. And what he's doing, he sent everything. He sent 1,000 ships and left none behind, so this little 85 can come back and reclaim it. So just little things like that, that's drastically slowing down. He's just getting outplayed by Scamp. Scamp's playing really good. He's outplayed me up in the north. I will say I finally do think I cracked the nut. I got in on these 2 stars. I got this northern world, and I think unless I made another mistake, I'll get these 2 stars over here. It's going to take me till I think this ship comes down, so it'll take me into next cycle, but I'll get those 2. I think I'm going to lose this star temporarily. I'll fend off this with the 202 will get there in time. But these 318 are going to be able to get here before this next round arrives. So it's going to be lost. But I'll get close, and I should be able to secure this. I'll be able to get another one of his stars here. And between Darmody hitting in the southern, where he was basically sending all his ships up at me and not defending against Darmody. So he's now also finally, like his ship count, again, he was at 38 down to 2,000. So He's about half as well, and it'll just snowball from here. So that's, I guess, some good news. Some other good news is I was able to make some progress here. I got a few more stars. I got a little bit more progress, and some juicy ones too, some really nice ones. And I think it's a little chaotic right now, but I think I'm going to get Tag. I think I'll get Neo. And I just have to worry about these 451 sitting here. So I think after I get these two, my next set of ships are going to just have to take this out before I press on beyond that. And then and so that's the good news. I guess down in the center, I've been a bit disruptive. We fended off Belson's attack on Skilly here. I countered and hit this star. I'm going to lose it instantly, but I'm just leaving one ship behind. Actually, I don't even need to do that. And then I'm going to take out this star with 7 economy. So I'm just trying to kill his economy, take his stars temporarily. If he's not being attentive, he'll lose a few ticks. But I'm not doing any real major damage. But, yeah, hey, I got 2 stars. I'll get a 3rd before those things get killed off. I'm just trying to be a nuisance in the center. And Skilly's trying to get down here. One of the bigger problems is because Grass Sniffer's been mostly AFK, or almost entirely, it's allowed Pan Blanco to take advantage of that. Where he had 120 ships, Pan Blanco, Grass Sniffer had like 800, and he knew he could just go and take this for free, and then just sneak up and start taking my stars without being contested. And it just, yeah, he's going to get a couple of my stars, and I'll get them back, but it's just annoying. Again, Pan Blanco and Scamp both playing outstanding. That being said, the noose is closing for both of them. But here's the issue. When you then look at the analysis by team of stars economy, Team 1 is pulling ahead. They've got the most stars, the most economy, the most industry, the most science, although it's spread across their team, the most ships, the most new ships. Now, and they're working with Team 2 that's close to Team 4, so Team 4 and Team 2 are pretty close together, and I'm working with Team 3. So the move that we're trying to do is convince Team 2 to flip on Team 1. And so what that would look like is really, it's Skilly and I, Jubalfet, Hex Darmody, like that's Team 3 and 4. I'm of the mind that I want to kill Scamp and Pan Blanco before we finalize anything. And then we just have these two, this big power base here. And if we can get Team 2 to push down on them, then we'll be in good shape. And now I can easily just go down this path that I have here to the center, and it's not a problem. Skilly can hit them without a problem. Hex and Darmody can hit them without a problem. Lofty, by the way, is not dead. Just saying, he's holding on strong. I think he's got, yeah, he's moving in to try to get up into to reach me. But anyway, that's a little bit neither here nor there. The problem's going to be is GB is going to finish off Bellum, and then once he turns to the center, Hex is already losing ground. Hopefully Darmody can get over there. And I think between Hex and Darmody they could hold this off, especially with a few extra stars from Scamp. But we don't have an answer for GB when he turns. So so the hope is that we can make a little more progress here, get a ceasefire, have everyone take Team 1 down a notch or two, and see where it goes. I've been negotiating with JSE, Pan Blanco, with mainly those two, and they've been speaking with the others. It sounds like Pan Blanco doesn't want to see me. He said he would rather see Team 1 win than me. Shorty agreed. Better Red than Dead agreed. So like they're personally don't like something I did or whatever, or something historical other game thing, which, you know, okay, happens. But I mean, if something that happened in a game prior makes you want to make a decision to lose this game, what are you going to do? But that's where we stand. We'll see how the negotiations go. But that's going to be the more important than any of these kind of tactical fights is going to be the overall strategic alliances and agreements. And really, like I said, the biggest thing on this is what will Jubal Fett do, because if there was a ceasefire between Jubal Fett and Team 2, then he would have to get a path through. And I think they're saying some of them were saying the only way they would agree is if Jubal Fett is destroyed, which again, from my perspective, is not the worst thing in the world, as long as I get half, but they probably wouldn't agree to that either. And once that happens, then why would they just keep pushing on me? That Jubal Fett is clearly on board with me, as is Hex and Darmody. Like, those three are solid. And 4, really, Bellum, but he's about dead. So, that's it. Cycle 19, we've made some progress on some tactical fronts. We'll talk about those and some updates politically across the galaxy. Let's start with some of the tactics. We finally broke ground here. We're about, what is this? We are 3 ticks away from cracking here. Follow up with a warp gate, warp gate. Get these stars under control. I just lost this, but I'll reclaim it shortly enough. Scamps put up a great fight. Tough opponent. He's dead. So he's dead from me, and he's dead from Darmody, who's making his attacks down here. Pan Blanco's been a pain up here, attacking Hex. Finally, Darmody is finally attacking, which is going to be very helpful. So this front we're about to collapse. The vision right now is for these stars here to finish finish off Scamp and then go kill Pan Blanco and push in, and hopefully not have to deal with the southern front, but more than likely they are, because if you look down here in the south, it's ugly. Hex has done a good job fending him off, trying his best, but he's about to get walloped. He's getting Spymort coming in at him. He's getting Belson coming in him. He's even gotten Pan Blanco coming in from the north. Just they're playing well together, and so Hex is going to fall. And I'm hoping that will be enough of a catalyst for Team 2, because he's going to fall. Darmody probably won't be long after that. So I need this cleared up before then, so I'm not dealing with all of it. I'm just dealing with these guys, because Belson is... Belson's also going to be having to deal with Skilly. So if Skilly and I deal with Spymort and Belson, I think that's a game we can come out on top. The problem, of course, is we still are also dealing with the Bishop and GB, whom GB has got. He's been uncontested mostly, and so we can't fight them all. In the center, you do have, Skilly sending in the troops, and that's where he's just trying to plug the center right now and keep his terraform going, which has been great. As you can see, like my economy, my industry, my science is keeping us afloat right now. They've been just sending me, if you look at all the money that's been sent to me just recently, a ton of money's been sent my way, which has allowed me to take advantage of my higher star count. Now what's happening down here is basically Team 2 is continuing to push into us, Jubal Fett. I don't think I can save Jubal Fett at this point. He's just, Jubal Fett's down to 2,500 ships, which is about the same as Short Kings, which is about the same as Better Red Than Dead, which is about the same, a little bit more, but about the same as Lawrence. So they're and that's not even counting the 800 for Stone Dape. So they have 3 times the amount. And by the way, Jewish Star Empire, he's still sending ships up here to help as well. So they've got 4 times the ships that Jubal Fett can defend against. And Team 2 has nowhere else to go. So I opened up some negotiations. I spoke last night with Hex, and basically said, hey, they're not going to want to listen to me. Can you try to do a negotiation? And so he created this not team 1 with all the live players. And if you go back and look at what he wrote, I thought it was very well written, compelling argument. It's basically an attempt to get team 2 to flip on team 1, and here's all the reasons why. And basically Pan Blanco came back in and said no. So if you really want to read it, I mean, I suppose you can pause and read it, but basically Pan Blanco basically said, in order for this to work, I'd like to get like just unreasonable demands. And so I just said, hey, I'm on board with working with team 2 as well. We went back and forth, and it was a waste of time. Pan Blanco, if you recall earlier, completely unreasonable negotiator, terrible negotiator for the team, unreasonable demands, and he's not in a position of power to do that. So what did I do? I'm like, guys, all right, listen. Here's what I did then. I said, leave me alone here. I'll match defensively, but because GB just finished off Bellum, that means he's going to come to the center next. Why don't you let me, so all these ships that are funneling here, instead of going into Shorty, I'll move them down here and help plug the middle. All of my Tenerizu stars, all these stars here, I'll just ship them down to the middle. And then the only ones that aren't going to help in the middle would be the ones over here that we're dealing with Scamp. They'll just continue to push down into Scamp and then into Pan Blanco, and then they'll plug the middle. So I said, I'll stop attacking you if you stop attacking me. And basically they were somewhat open to it, but they said Jubelfet's got to die. And I'm like, by all means, I'm going to give him weapons, but if you need to kill him, you need to kill him. I think he's going to be dead regardless. But then can one of you guys do manufacturing? We talk about that. We got into this weird thing about, we can't turn on Pan Blanco, and and Team 1's not going to betray us. And finally, I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, there's no more undermining and backstabbing. It's game over. Once Team 3 goes, then there's only Skillian, and then we go. And they don't even have to. So, of course, they're going to turn on you if they need to, but they don't even need to. Because if you look, Team 2 is going to be only right here. The other 75% of the map is going to be Team 1, and they only need 50% of the stars to win. So, of course, they just win. They win without ever having to betray you. And so I'm hoping they realize, like, listen, if you want Team 2 to have any chance of winning before the other people that are the other weaker alliances are gone, you need to align with us. I'm willing to sacrifice Jubelfet, who's not really my team, but we're working well together, and for Pan Blanco, right? And then I basically have a quarter of the map, they have a quarter of the map, and we have to just keep the Team 1 from getting the whole 50% of the map. That's really the negotiation. And you can see, like, over here, I've been making strides. I'm pushing in on Short King. I can keep pushing in, and I'll make progress. But to what end? Because then my team and we just lose. So hopefully they are reasonable. Hopefully they come around. But that's where we're at politically. And again, kudos to my team, Windrunner, Rackstar. Their donations of money, their persistence in playing, even though they don't have a whole big army. They're just a couple single ships running around, but getting money, makes a huge difference. And that's the reason that. So if I just did this. So 300, 250, 100. If you look on everyone else, I'm at 300. I'm at 300 now. The next closest is half of that. So I'm so much higher. 250. So the next closest is 125. Science, Spymort's making a push for it. But anyway, So I'm just hoping Skilly and I can own a quarter of the world and then start to push in on the south while the northeast from Team 2 pushes south, and we can make something happen. We are in cycle 20, and one of the nice things is you can see the scamp is about gone. Long time coming. It's actually quite a good feeling. Been working still with trying to get Team 2. Let's look at the new picture here. We've been working to try to get Team 2 to flip on Team 1. And when you look at the stats, and I'm not going to go through all those in detail again, it's just Team 1's in good shape. They're really 4 strong and a powerhouse. And if Team 2 working with them, it's it looks like an even split, but this is a weak section here, and Hex is falling. So let's just take a quick look here. When you look at the problem, it's just an overwhelming forces kit. Hex and Darmody decided to help kill off Scamp instead of pushing in and defending his ally Hex. And so I call it a misplay. I get his comment was he just wanted to finish him off once and for all, which I totally get and I appreciate. But I think now you die, and I think you wouldn't have died otherwise. We would have just been a slower kill for him. I think you could have done a better job fending off your ally, and now they're just going to snowball. So this front is falling. I'm making progress, pushing in, and Scamp will be gone pretty soon. We got now basically a highway, so all of this section pushing south, the Tenerizu stars making the Tenerizu highway down to the front lines, which is a fairly short distance for this group, and they're just going to basically just reinforce these groups over here. If Team 2 works with us, then these guys will just travel with a formal alliance over whoever's left Darmody, Pan Blanco, into Team 1. If not, then they just have to kill Pan Blanco. I mean, and it's really up to him. It's like either I kill you or you work with us. And if I have to kill you, I probably die too. But that's the only choice that I have. The center is precarious. You see there's just a lot of enemy ships piling up. And what's the most troubling is now GB, who's actually got about equal my power currently, is got nowhere to go but the center. And he can be 100% focused and I can't. Now Skilly is also 100% focused at this point to the center, but he's fending off both Belson and GB. So now Belson's also split, right? So Belson's pushing 2 ways. So it's a little tight. But if you also have Team 2 every once in a while, they're throwing some ships our way. That doesn't help. Up in the northeast, it's stabilized a bit, and we're holding them off. Basically, this little section here is where I told Short King, I told JSE, I'm not going to keep pushing, and you can see I already started sending. This will be almost 900 ships south to help plug the center. And so right now, if Team 2 works with us, all of these ships are going to come here. They're still going to I'll just match whatever I see here with my scanning, and then the rest will push down to into the center. So that is where things stand for today. We're waiting on Team 2's decision. Cycle 21. So let's be clear. Team 2 is not going to work with us. Team 2 is hell-bent on killing Jubal Fett. And actually, that's okay. See, the issue here is we can't take on the world. Team 4 can't take on everyone. We're just a quarter of the map. But what we have lined up here is Jubal Fett's on board with us, and he's absorbing all of the attention of Team 2 in the north, which is perfect. I'm getting a little bit with with Shorty, but I am basically fine locking up the northeast corner in a battle against each other. And as long as it's mostly a stalemate, maybe Jubal Fett slowly loses, maybe Team 2 slowly loses, it doesn't really matter. I'm offering enough token help and tech to keep this just locked up. I did send out, like I went and grabbed the star, and they reclaimed it. I'm poking at this, so I'm doing enough just to keep them in the area. But really what I'm doing is I'm sending more to the middle. And I'm sending more to the middle because that's where the biggest threat, that's where the biggest loss condition is. I honestly don't know why they haven't just all out attacked. If they just all attack the middle, we would crumble. And if Skilly dies, I die. He's terraforming, he's plugging the middle. This is our biggest point of weakness, and they're basically sitting idle. So for example, they did a little attack, we countered it. We each grabbed one of these stars from Belson, and he literally sat for 12 hours while we just got resources. I think I had like 3 ships, he had like 2 ships, and they let it sit there for half a day before they go to reclaim it. So that's just bad on them. I've been timing up, pushing attacks in. So like, for example, I'm going to land there in 1 and 2 ticks, but in 1 tick I get weapons. So I'm just timing up. I get a 2-weapon lead on these attacks, and I'm just kind of like softening them when I know I have a 2-weapon advantage, and then I sit idle for the next cycle. And I just keep poking, 500 ships, 300 ships, not a ton, just enough to kind of keep them on defense, and that's what I need. So we have Skilly just pulling everything to the center for the most part. Tenerizu still going all to the center. This chain going all the way here, doing a little bit of support. Like I do have, right? I have, what's this? 182. 182 out of my 11,000. It's token help. But if it's enough to keep Jubal fed on board and to keep them slightly at bay, then great. But most of these resources are just plugging here, and then they're going to go down the middle as well. But this is kind of a stalemate. Where I gain ground is in the west. So right now you have the other two players of Team 3. Darmody, who hasn't moved in 24 hours, although he's got a decent ship count, or did, but because he's basically AFK, he's not growing, and we're not giving him tech. The attack on Hex stopped, which is a mistake in my mind. I think this is where Team 1 should have continued to gain ground. I think they see us as a threat, and I think they're kind of focusing in the center, which makes sense. But if you're going to hold the center, then push in the west, because this was easily obtained. I don't quite get what they're trying to do. Grass Sniffer yesterday came online and sent everything on Pan Blanco. So if you look at him in Pan Blanco, you can see there was pretty significant damage done. And then what happened is Skilly was able to go grab 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stars. 6 stars. And we'll be able to use those again with an active player to defend the middle, which are right on the front lines, which is so nice. If we can get one more little burst, I mean, and he's still doing damage, right? Like, Pan Blanco is trying to reclaim it, and he's going to take this guy. So I just fed Grass Sniffer all the weapons, Tenerizu all the weapons. They're still allies. Tenerizu's still active, and like, for example, this should have won, but I just gave the upgraded weapons to Tenerizu, so now this ship. This fight loses. The Scamp is almost dead, right? Like, I'm going to take that star. I'm about to take those 2, and I'm starting to move out. So I'll grab this 1 more here, and if I can get those other ones, I will clean them off if Darmody doesn't move. I actually would really love to get that, because then I can warp gate in, because what I want to do, right, would completely remove Scamp, push in, remove Pan Blanco, and then all of this are mine as well. And so that's another 9, it's another big chunk of stars. And then those can be used also to either push in the south or push in the center. I don't know yet, but it'll take another day or 2 to clear this out. But I have overwhelming forces coming through here. I'll take these guys out, and then one of 2 things happens. We can leave the northeast idle, we leave the southwest idle, and just push in the center. The risk, of course, is they wake up and they turn on us. So not sure how to play it yet. I may make the argument to just hold in the center and never push, and try to push in, hey, he's idle, let me get his star since he's idle. Also because unless the enemy starts feeding him weapons, it'll be actually a lot easier for me to kill off Darmody and take his stars. So I'm thinking right now, plug the center, stalemate in the northeast, be the savior in the southwest, and take his stars. I don't even think I need to go in this bottom southeast corner to win the game. I think it's a kind of a death trap trying to get in there. They just all collapse. So we just hold the line here, continue pushing in the west. That's a key to victory. Key to failure, either Jubelfett flipping or Team 2 deciding to attack just me and not attacking Jubelfett. And while Team 1, if Team 1 and 2 just focus on me, that would be a problem. Now, if they do that, that opens up an opportunity for Jubelfett to grow. So that's why I got to keep this strong. That's the plan. Things are looking up. Oh, one other quick thing. This is a little analysis. When you look at this is how much Spymort is having to spend on science. He spent 3 science on a 24 resource star with 9 terraforming. He bought 2 science on a 7 resource star on 9 terraforming. I asked in the Discord channel for this type of thing, how much do you think he spent? And they put it in the formula. He spent 174 on one, 154 on the other. That's the stars down here. And so when you look at, the science, they're spending in the 170 credit range for science, and they've got a fraction of my income. That's a big deal because, mine isn't cheap, 114, but I'm about to hit another terraforming. I know they're spending in the 70s for industry. So, again, like while I'm not super cheap, they are extraordinarily more expensive, and they're also, I'm basically just giving the main tech to Skilly and Jubelfett at this point. They've got to give their tech to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. They're giving tech to 11 people. I'm giving tech to, let's just be generous. I get it. I have to give it to 1, 2, like a couple tech, 2. That cost of tech is getting incredibly expensive now. And so because they're also, they should be, like, it cost me 210 to send weapons. They got to do that 10 times. They should be consolidating. That's their, like, if they want to win, Stone Ape should give up his stars. Either probably Lawrence needs to give up his stars and let because Better Red Than Dead is their science person. If Team 2 wants to win, Better Red Than Dead could consolidate all of those stars. That's what they should do, but they're not. I think Team 1's down to 3 player or 4. They should probably take Bishop stars too. I think that's a problem, and it's costing them a lot of money. And that's going to help Team 4 pull ahead. We are in cycle 22, and we are status quo around the northern part of the board. If you look up here, we've held, Jubelfett has held the line. Now he did notice that you have a large carrier of ships coming from Lawrence called the Bomb, that he's concerned because that will break him wide open, which is probably true. So we need to figure out what we do about that. We've held our own in the center, just basically a stalemate across this line right here. I continue to throw ships in, although again, they got a 2,000 ship lead. I do not know why they're not pressing even more. When you look at some of these other ships, they should be pressing into us. The only thing is we have right now one, but we're about basically a 2 weapon lead now for most of the time. If they time it right, they can get a 1 weapon disadvantage. But they're not pressing it, and so the longer they wait, and I'm sending down another 1,000 ships from here. I have to. If I defend him, I open up the center, so I have to keep doing that and let Jupil Fett slowly die. I just hope again it's slow because he's providing the manufacturing that we need to keep up. Over in the west is the great news. If you look here, it's yellow. There's a little bit of cleanup duty over here, but you know, look at these stars. I think this was Bio's star with the 8. It's going to take a little bit of time to clean that up, and it's not a priority. What is a priority is finally removing Pan Blanco. We have JSE coming in to try to save the day, but it's just not going to be enough. And so what we're going to do is finish off Pan Blanco and then take these stars and probably just reinforce here. And if I need to, Darmodi's been AFK now for almost 2 days. He may switch to AI soon, so I'm going to have to contend with that. And Hex has also started to fight back. We have Lofty down here still fighting back, but he's making his way up to his home. And I have my other 3 people giving me money now, which allowed me to do some amazing investments in my economy, up to 520. Next one, you know, we're just way above everyone else. My science, they're keeping up because now Spymort's consolidating GB, but I'm still ahead. And then with industry, I did another big shoot up, so again, outproducing them by quite a bit. If you look at the ship count, I'm starting to pull away individually, but Skilly and I are basically keeping up with Team 1. As long as Team 2 is fighting Jupil Fett, we're in good shape. It's if they combine forces where it gets tricky. So that's where we stand. Good news in the west, a little scary in the northeast, and then just waiting patiently for them to attack in the center, which I assume they should do soon, but if not, then good for us. We are nearing the end of cycle 23, and here's where things stand. We are still status quo in the center. Team 3 is still with us. I think they will be now to the end. We've actually taken an advantage, slight advantage maybe, or at least even things out over here with this mess, and I was able to sneak in some ships and take this star, forced him to warp rate both of these, and so I'm just keeping the pressure on Belson here and forcing more ships to come up north. The reason is the biggest threat right now is down here in the south. We have an AFK Darmadi, or about to be, who may lose everything to Spymort, which is the worst person to lose ships to. We have Belson pushing in on Hex, but I'm going to be trying to get down here and salvage the last stars of Hex, just to keep him around. So I'm just making a beeline down here. Pan Blanco is all but dead. I'm going to blow up. When I blow up these 2 stars here, I think he got one carrier escape, so he'll have a little home base back near the Jewish Star Empire. But this territory is now basically mine. I do have one more little fight to take on here, and then I'll be able to actually. We have 3 people from Grassland, or Grass Sniffer. I'm going to try to get him to give up his stars, and then I can get a little bit of pressure here on Belson, and a little bit of pressure down here, because what I don't, the worst thing that could happen is Team 1 gets all these stars, which they're poised to do. So I just have to stop that. I am also about to get, oh, what is this? Interesting. Okay, so he's giving up on that, which is great. Consolidating. I will follow him. I will follow him to his new home as well. And then the other front is up in the northeast. I was able to, actually, he was able to pretty much defend on his own. I have a little bit of support coming here. He defended the bomb in this most recent onslaught on his core stars. He'll probably lose some of these ones on the outside, but I am sending another 650 just to suicide into this big death ball here, and I'm about to send another send another one into the death ball, just to help soften that a little bit and give him a chance to make sure he doesn't collapse. He's our manufacturing, he can't die. That's really it for today. Cycle 24. We are getting towards the end of the game, and basically at this point it's going to be either myself as Team 4 or Spymort as T1 winning this game. We've stabilized up in the north. The additional help, once this last little suicide bombers run into the nuclear wasteland here, we will not kill everyone in the galactic orphanage. And yeah, Jubal Fett has held his own up in the north. Done an outstanding job. We've continued to make progress over here, but still not a lot. We did get Belson to send in a lot of ships, and he's down quite a bit from where he was. We only have a 1 weapon lead right now, but they just got it, and so I'm about 2 weapons, 2 full weapon levels ahead, and I'll start working on getting a 3rd. So yeah, so we're about to break Belson here in the middle, and I did finally kill off this whole area. Grass Sniffer needs to be dealt with. Hopefully he can start abandoning some of his stars, and this is the final battle of the game. Because we basically were able to deadlock everywhere else, no one's making progress on us. It's just been me gaining ground here in the south, and now Spymort and Belson pushing in on Team 3. They're going to take some losses, but I've got a pretty nice engine of basically, I need this chain all the way down here, and there's a little more cleanup I need to do. I'm going to lose the star temporarily, take it right back, and then I'm pushing in on Belson down here, and by putting pressure down here, it should allow hopefully Skilly to make some progress in the middle, just enough, and tip the scales in our favor. And then I just have to win. I have to beat Spymort and Belson down here in the south. If I win this battle here, and if I stop them cold, we just start to inch our way ahead. We'll see what happens. Cycle 25. Kind of a crazy cycle. We had both Darmody and Grass Sniffer go AFK, and Grass Sniffer I was able to instantly just be friends with. Darmody I was friends with for a bit, but then got a little greedy when he moved ships away from me, and so I attacked him, and then he got mad at me. I was able to go from like scanning 7 to scanning 11, but yeah, they've then turned back to non-AFK because it's a custom game, and we were able to do that. But as a result, it's just chaos here. But it works out well because that means there's a lot of ships attacking me, which means I can use warp gates to get defensive ships in place and get a much better trade and lose many fewer ships. And so because I'm at 21 weapons to their 11, I should have no problem clearing this whole section out here, getting all of this. The question is, or the problem is, Spymort's going to do the same thing down in the south, and there's this little strip here around Hex that I may or may not be able to get. We'll see. Because at the same time, Spymort's coming up here. He's also, and with my scan 11, I can see this now. All these ships, coming up top, coming towards me, and yeah, it's going to get a little crazy in here as I'm we're just colliding, and this big final battle is begun, or about to begin. In the middle, we were able to take over temporarily. We're able to take over the middle here, and now well, actually we're about to take over the middle, then we're going to lose it right away. It's just chaos. We're attacking, and we're really trying to put a lot of pressure on Belson because he's the one that has to figure out how many ships he sends to the center versus to the west. Spymort's got it easy, although he doesn't have enough carriers to be very effective at this. He just sends everything to the west. Belson has the decision, so I want to try to make him make a mistake. GB, same thing, simple. Bishop simple. Up in the north, we continue to just have Jubelfett being a stalemate. The scanning was able to allow us to see him trying to sneak, Lauren's trying to sneak some ships around, but we caught that with the scanning 11. And yeah, now we're just, oh, and then the other thing is Jubelfett's just 500 ships at a time, throwing them into the enemy, and I'm contributing as well, just to try to whittle this down more and more. So I'm feeling pretty good about the stalemates. We just have this last fight. And when you look at the intel, what you see, so this is the ship count of basically not looking at Jubelfett or Team 2, just the fight in the middle and in the south. Ship count, I continue to trade and gain ground. Skilly's got the second most, so we're at 22-15, so 37 versus 12, 12, 6, 6. So what is that? 12, 12 is 24, 24, and another 12 is 36. So yeah, so it's actually pretty close. It's pretty close, but here's the thing. We're up 3 in terraforming. We're up 2 in weapons. We're up 1 in manufacturing. We're up across the board, and because our science is higher as well, Spymort's trailing behind, and yeah, they're not gaining on us in tech, which means we're going to perpetually pull away or stay ahead, and then every extra star here, the last of the kind of the quote free stars, and then we're just final head to head. And like I said, here's to me, people underestimate this, and I don't get it, but it's carriers, and so you look at, I have almost like a 2-to-1 ratio of ships to stars, and they're more at not quite a 1-to-1. And so if you have 1 ship per 1 star, you just mechanically can't get your ships to the front line as quick as I can. I've also you see a lot of glowing lights. I've warp gated almost every star I own, and by the next 1 or 2 cycles, they will all be warp gated. And what that means is enough carriers, enough warp gates. I'm making more ships than them, and I'm getting to them to the front lines faster, which means I'm going to make progress and push them back that will snowball. And so unless something happens bad, or I really screw up, I think we got this. Cycle 26, the battle is about to begin. You can see the last remnants of Darmody and Hex going away. The massive onslaught from Spymort. Everything's coming my way. All of my stuff's going his way, and we have been able to keep Belson focused on the center. You can see his ship count is low. Let's take a quick look here at the intel, and I just put in the number of empires that are still relevant to the game. If you look at ship count, it's Skilly and I with the most ships. Spymort shortly below that, GB shortly below that, Jubelfett's taking on all of Team 2, although I think he's in trouble. Then you have Belson, who was down to 4,300 not that long ago, and he's about to lose another big chunk. We have, what is that, 1,700 ships? So 17, it's like almost 2,000 ships going to land here. We'll have like 900 left. And then, wait, how do I get to, what's the math here? Well, whatever. So we're going to have a bunch left, and then he's going to try to take it back. We're just basically duking this section out with Belson, so he has to send everything up here, which means he's not helping in the west, which is great. He has a few stars over there, but he's not going to be sending more over. You have this interloper, Jewish Star Empire, being annoying, like a little gnat you can't quite get rid of. That's him. And he's going to try to turn the tides of battle. A little 600 ship there, 600 ship here. But the other thing that's coming is I finally got fed up, and I said, you know what? Screw the North. Sorry, Jubelfett. But I had been feeding a little bit over and showing you some token ships, but 500, 800 here and there was enough to keep them going, but I feel like even if we survive here, if we can't crack Team 1, we lose. So we're just being a little more aggressive. I think we're gonna take some stars over here in the center, which should allow us to get access to some back lines. I got this big bomb coming here of 2,000 ships, and if we can get into this cluster here, the tides will start to turn really quick in our favor, because then you're gonna have Spymort probably need to come up and help, which is gonna free up the west, and we just need to deal with this. And basically right now I just need to send everything, including the stuff that's streaming up there. I need to send all of this down to deal with the south. I mean, they are kind of threatening me here, so I am having to respond a little bit, because I can't lose this. This is my drop-off spot. I can't lose that. But yeah, last night Jubelfett made a minor mistake, just a misclick really, and he lost a star deep in his own territory. That's going to leave a mark. You have, he's under a lot of pressure. He's fighting well. So what we're going to do is my weapons finishes in an hour and 15, the same time that Jubelfett finishes manufacturing. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to take a break. Jubelfett's going to do one more range to get us range 10, which will help with some long range scans. So for example, I could go from here to here, because that's at range 10. It'll help out. But what I can do in the time he gets range 10, I'll be able to get 2 levels of manufacturing. So he'll get 14 in an hour and a half, or hour and 15. I'll go from 14 to 15 to 16 in 14 hours. Will be 2 levels of manufacturing up on them, which will make a much bigger difference than just one more weapon level. I'll get 2 manufacturing levels, and then I'll go back to weapons. We don't want to follow behind in weapons, but because we're about to be 2 weapon levels up again, we're going to go and try to get 2 manufacturing up as well, and I think that'll have a bigger influence. So yeah, that is the plan. Cycle 27, we have now gotten our front line established in the southwest and engaged the enemy. We have begun trading a couple of stars, lots of carnage already. I'm on the offensive, and one of the things I like to see is, I think what's going to happen here is this cluster is going to be harder for me to break through, because that's where all their reinforcements are coming from. But for me, I've got like this whole chain coming down here, and I don't think he's got as much support. So I'm hoping basically to swoop. The first step would be to swoop in and take these stars, and then just keep rolling. And for here, I'm just going to try to maintain as long as I can. We want to keep Belson out of the fight as best as possible, which we've been doing. We did successfully take over these 3 stars temporarily. This star, that big 2,000 ships, landed here. I drew a bunch of ships off of GB's main star, where he's been accumulating ships. And as soon as Skilly gets in, he should be able to start moving forward as well. I'm going to take a brief hiatus, because I had said before, like, if we can't win and make ground over with Team 1, we can't win at all. And I feel like now that we made a little bit of headway here, I'm hoping Skilly can keep pushing, and that I can keep pushing over here. But I'm worried about Team 3. I'm worried about Jubelfett, and he's starting to lose more and more ground. So I'm sending 600, 500, I'm sending 1,000. So there's already 2,000. I spent 3,300. So I'm starting to send ships to support Team 3, attack Team 2. If we look at, I haven't done one of these pictures in a while. It's really gotten quite simple. Skilly and myself owning a quarter of the map. Jubelfett owning a little bit. And then Team 2, I don't know what, that's probably a quarter of the map. And Team 1 a little bit more. I don't know the percentages, but it's simple, right? You have the southwest front, the center front, and the Jubelfett front. Those are the 3 areas that are fighting right now. I also then looked at the stats, and when you look at these team stats here, you can see, and this is a lot to take in, so I just simplified it. Look at income, new ships, and ships. Let's just look at those by team. And when you look at those by team, what you see is basically teams 1 and 2 combined have a 3,620 income lead. However, they also are trading tech. They're also trading tech across, where'd it go? Oh, yeah. They're also trading tech across 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 empires where we're trading tech against 3. That alone could really eat up a lot of that income difference. I did get the manufacturing, 2 levels of manufacturing. So if we look back at of where we're at with manufacturing against the big guy who's got the most industry, I'm 2 up now. And remember, we were like tied or a little behind. Now we're 2 up, and that was a pretty huge jump. So when you look at new ships now, we're starting to outpace them, and every star we take will increase that new ship lead. Current state, they have 17,000 more ships than us. The problem is they are, they have to travel, and they don't have a good carrier network, so they're not taking advantage of their 17,000 ship lead. Cycle 28, end of the cycle. Things are looking a little desperate. I've been attacking and supporting the Northeast the best I can. We're starting to push him back, but now Better Red Than Dead's getting stronger. We've taken like 4 stars in a week in the middle, but not really progressing. And it all boiled down to the southwest corner. And if it were just me against Spymort, it would be fine. But then you had, 1,000 ships from Lascamp. You have JSE sending in for almost 5,000 ships, and it just tips the scales. So I reached out to JSE and I said, hey, what if I got out of your way and you took the stars? Because basically, if I'm not going to have them, I don't want them to go orange. I don't want Team 1 to get them. I'm going to lose them anyway. Let's give them to Jewish Star Empire. And he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't take the stars. He says it's against his ethics. Now, I'm tricking him into, or basically manipulating him into taking the stars. I can't hold them all. They just have more ships than I do. It's mathematically impossible. I can't reroute enough. I mean, if I did over here, then I lose over there. I'm outnumbered. And so had a conversation with Jubalfett and Skilly about what do we do? We can keep trying what we're going to try, but I think we just lose. Or we can pick one target and try to take them out. Try to just take one player out completely. And so our target with Skilly and I is Belson. Belson's a smart player, a strong player, and basically he's sending over ships, and we're going to go all in on Belson. So shooting the ships from over the void. I just sent everything I had. He's going to backfill, but he's got another 2,200. These 1765 are going to all die. They'll almost take him out, and then he'll be able to follow up. And we're like, you know what? Even if we push in and lose a couple of stars here, their entire backline is vulnerable. So they're more vulnerable than we are. So we just have to be the aggressors here. And we're going to go all in on Belson in the front, even if that means our backside is open to a counterattack from GB and the Bishop. It's just Belson's the most vulnerable, and he's the weakest. And so we're going to go hit him. And he still has, decent industry. So we're going to hit him here. And then the other big move is this mess over here where I was giving JSE some stars, like the 4,000, not just blowing those up. I'm going to give him those, and I'm going to counterattack. So this was a Belson star, and JSE is going to get it. I'm going to go take that Belson star, and then these 2,200 are going straight to the back line. There is absolutely nothing back here defending it. Now, These guys will probably divert and support, as they should. But then that buys me a little bit of flexibility here. And if they don't react soon enough, they can do some serious damage in the back lines. So hopefully Jewish Star Empire does not take out this 1,000. But I'm just basically, I want to, if he doesn't hit him this tick, I'm just going to move him on to the, I'm just going to move him on. And these guys are just going to go right to the next target. And that's the plan. We have minimal defenses. I may lose some stars here. I may just lose some stars here. But I'm okay losing some stars here if that means Belson loses some stars too. And we just put maximum pressure on all sides, because then, again, once we get past that front line and this giant glob of 10,000 or 9,000 ships, he's got to divert some of those off to defend back here. They could counter and we trade. I think we do okay in that trade. But this is the big move I feel like we're going to lose unless we do something really drastic. And that is all I could come up with. In the north, we're doing a similar maneuver. I have been sitting staring at this little front line for so long, and I just sent everything. I do have, there's reinforcements coming, another 1,000 coming. But instead of just like trying to like whittle against these guys, I'm shooting right past them. And if I catch them with their pants down, they're not going to be able to defend, and they're going to lose massively. And I can take Short Kings down a notch or two, force them to stop hitting Jubal Fett, which will allow Jubal Fett to grow in the north. And that's what we want. This Isle of Misfit Mascots, he's going to time up. Right now he already has about 500 more. My attacks down here absolutely will divert their attention, which means this won't be in reinforced, which means he's going to time up when that 9,000 hits. He'll send all of this in. Again, take the big star. If he counters, we'll deal with it. But if he does that, that means then we just push in and take his stuff. Just take all his stars. So it's going to get ugly. It's going to get really messy. But I think if we don't do something drastic, we're going to lose. So beginning of the end, one way or another.
A quick Cycle 29 update. Things are looking up. We've stabilized in the southwest, establishing a wall of defense. We have our distraction on Belson, pulled a lot of the reinforcements coming to the southwest to defend that, which is great. We've made progress in the center and are pushing on Belson and have a stronger presence than the enemy. But most importantly, in the northeast, we broke through that huge cluster. We did our all-out blitzkrieg and it won. We succeeded. We fought off the counterattacks, and now I have a clear path into the heart of Short Kings. I'm about to take 50% of his remaining ships away. A lot of pressure still up on the eastern front, but they're going to have to turn and defend against me as I take out all of Orange, and that'll give Jubal Fett time to reclaim. I think things just turned a corner due to our very offensive attack. So sometimes the best defense is just a good offense.
Cycle 30. We've made some significant gains here in the northeast, and this is really the game changer to me. We made the big blitzkrieg play up in the northeast corner, and it allowed Jubal Fett to break through some of these big clusters, and I did the same down here and punch through. And now finally I had enough flowing ships get to the core of Shorty, and now I'm just gonna continue to flow 1,200 ships at a time every 6 hours or maybe 8 hours. They can't keep up with it. There's no way they can keep up with it, the flow, especially because they're still attacking Jubal Fett. And if they do try to turn attack and stop me, Jubal Fett just reclaims and grows. So the northeast corner is lost to them, and we are gaining ground. I'm going to take all these stars. Then I do need to make a decision. Do I push in to finish off Short King, or do I push down to Lawrence? And do I push into red? Do I push into GB? I need to figure out which way I want to go, and I probably just take the path of least resistance, or where I could gain the most benefit. It looks like when you look at some of the star counts, Short King he's trying to salvage his stars by making a ton of industry,
which just makes them super juicy. I'm just going to go grab those right up. So that's probably what I do, just finish him off, and then he's out of the game. And then I have his stars. I mean, I'll take another 180 stars for free. And then all his stars are also ripe to add science. So that's probably what I do here. In the center, we also were able to punch through Belson and making grounds. And we hit Belson from every direction. The big news, I probably should have led with this. It was really a little bit ago now, but since my last recording, and there's been a few fights going on here. Belson's declared war on Spymort. That was the piece that's like, okay, waving the white flag, saying take my stars. And now you can see Spymort doing so, taking his stars before we take his stars. And on some level, you would say that's bad, right? We don't want my biggest competition to grow. That being said, Belson is so savvy and such a strong player. We fought for a week on these stars here. I'm happy to see him out of the game and not have to fight him, quite honestly. So while I think one of the reasons that we're starting to pull ahead is that they didn't consolidate and they had too many players, the fact that Belson is such a strong fighter was problematic. Now, these things are, when the 24 hours are up, they're going to all flip, and it's going to be really, really painful. We're going to have to fight all 5,000 of Belson's ships at the same time, while Spymort instantly gets them. So Spymort's going to be tricky. But that being said, I was still fighting, but it was just controlled by Belson, who I honestly more afraid of them fighting than Spymort. Skilly continues to push on the center as well. So while he gained ground on Belson, he's also been pushing on, and you can see the bishop now is went down from 7,000 to 2,000 ships. So it took 5,000 out. And so between Belson leaving, bishop being essentially removed and about to be, the threat in the center is reduced. You add to that the northeast, certainly Team 2 can't come and save the day. They're on their heels as well. The only front to worry about now is the southwest. And I just let this ride for the last 24 hours and just to kind of see how the ship count added up. Now, granted, Spymort sent some ships to deal with my little insurgents over here, but I gained 2,400 ship advantage in the day, and a 600 ship advantage on this little stream in a day. I'm continuing just to stream the ships and hit them. So basically, on every front, we're winning. And I think it's the beginning of the end. Early hours into cycle 31, a couple of things going on I just want to highlight before we go more. The first thing is you see the Belson Spymort star exchange is underway. I'm not sure exactly when this is up, but it's soon, and you can see that Spymort is getting into position, and the very tick that they become unallied, Belson launches it all north, and Spymort takes it all over. So Skilly has done a nice job to try to get into position and snipe as many of these stars as possible with that big clump that we're here. We'll see how well that is fended off, but we don't want Spymort just to go ahead and gobble up all of Belson's stars. We want to see if we can get some of those for ourselves as well. And then the other front news is we've made landfall on the core star. We're starting to expand our base, and look how nice he was. Right before I land, he gets up to 13 industry. Like, these are all 10s and 9s and 14. Oh my goodness. The problem is I've got, overwhelming forces, so I have enough to defend off every single thing of his attacks, and he's left with almost nothing, and I've got 1250, 1660, 1260 all coming. There's no way that he'll be able to fend it off, so all these stars are mine. And now we are nearing the end of cycle 31. Where we stand,
The little explosion from the middle is going to slow them down perhaps a bit, but not take any stars. However, the enemy here, Bishop, again, almost gone, and we've drastically whittled down GB in the middle to where this giant star of enemy ships is going to be pretty much gone, at which point we'll be able to just start to come right through. So good news here. And what that'll do is that'll force Spymort to have to come up and defend, which will free me from having to deal with it in the southwest. So pick a front you want to win or lose on. We're still a little stalemated here. I was a little bit up on ships from him being delayed, so I started just sending out, ships to kind of wither this down, and I think I'm going to get a star here too. Don't really care that much. The main thing I don't want to have is some like giant blob of ships that can come and, like, when I'm sleeping, go and sneak behind and blow things up. So if I keep them relatively low, it's a lot lower risk for me. Over in the northeast, I have secured, if you look at this, I have secured this whole area now. It looks like Short Kings is also giving up and letting his team take his stars. You have Better Red Than Dead sending 5,000 ships at me, which I will be able to defend. JSE coming in with another 1,700 from there. Better Red Than Dead retreating from the front lines, which basically means I'm going to be taking the onslaught from them. Totally fine. What that means is Jubal Fett will be able to reclaim his stars up here and start to push out, and that's fine. I don't care if he gets them, I get them. At this point, we're kind of it's all one and the same to me. So it'll be, I have to pay attention up here. I'm about to get the star back as well, so I think we have pretty good control in the center. We have a good push in the northeast and a good line still in the southwest. So yeah, I'm excited to see Skilly finally break through and start making some progress here. That'll be a huge win. Cycle 32, we're still making good progress. Be a quick update because I think we're kind of on the home stretch now. In the southwest, we've launched thousands of ships, starting to reclaim some of those stars that JSE had, and some of these other stars in this area. Sending in a lot of reinforcements from the bottom, but nothing we can't handle. The big move from Spymort is him taking over stars from both the Bishop, from Belson, and even some from GB. So it looks like he's trying to consolidate, and just a little late, I think. They're just too far behind now. The other problem is, at this point, you still need 3 people to be researching weapons, terraforming, and manufacturing. And if he eats up GB, that's the terraforming researcher. And in the middle here, we've made huge progress. This was the star that we've been fighting over that had tens of thousands of ships stacked on it. And we've taken that over, and we're pushing now into this kind of soft belly portion of GBs that actually used to be Windrunner stars. And we'll reclaim that soon. It'll be interesting to see what Spymort does. He's kind of sitting idle right now. I assume he'll have to defend, but we'll see what he does there. Up in the northeast, Jubal Fett's finally back on the offensive after spending so much time on defense. I've been fending off lots of ships from Better Red Than Dead. Lawrence is sending some ships, but JSE is sending some ships. They just don't have enough to counter me. They left themselves open over here, and again, this is just a little, just careless mistake. Short Kings leaving this warp gated, and then he attacks with 100% of his ships. So I have 200 ships. He's got 800, 900 ships. Just leave 200 back and then attack. So I can't, because now what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave 1 ship there to maximize my damage, and then I'm just going to hop over this one. And until he learns a lesson, I'm just going to keep taking a star back and forth. I am sending in reinforcements just to polish this whole section off. But and hopefully he forgets to cut off this warp gate too.
Cycle 33 is just a continuation of yesterday, making progress, taking about half a dozen stars in the southwest, not getting a lot of resistance from Spymort in the center, starting to take GB stars. We're pushing in the center. We're finally taking back some of the original Windrunner stars. Again, not a ton of resistance from Spymort. I think he's trying to gobble up his allies and consolidate to make himself stronger. There was a big play on Jubelfett to get him to switch, which he said he refused. He seems to be refusing, and so we're continuing to push in on the northeast as well. Short King's down to 5, and then better red than dead, and Lawrence shortly behind will fall. Cycle 34, early ticks. We're going to try to accelerate the game. We're just kind of launching on everything down here. I'm going to try to be real aggressive in this bottom corner. Play a little conservative overnight, cutting off the warp gates so I can't get sniped overnight. But then also just playing aggressive and just taking about 3,000 ships over here, hoping to catch him to close this gap overnight. And then up in the top, starting to just chip away at this big group. Once that's gone, it's over. Just trying to play a little conservative there. And Lawrence is kind of given up, so I'm just picking off stars. You can kind of, the yellow on yellow is hard to see, but I've gotten these 3. I'm about to get another 1 or 2, so that's the plan. Pick off easy stars, whittle down, make a push, defend. One thing, you see this secret strike force, and he says he wants to attack Spymort coming, but they got scanning 15. I'm like, can you not do that? So I'm afraid he's just going to try to kill off my allies. So I just cut the warp gate just to make it painful for him. And I'm probably being paranoid and not necessary, but I just want to end it. I don't want to deal with that. But otherwise, looking at the stars, it looks like everything's on par. He's doing great. He's recovered wonderfully. When you look at basically, it's me, Skilly, Jubelfett, top 3. Cycle 35, getting a little bit closer. The biggest thing here in the last day has been the fact that Spymort and, we formed a little 4-person top 4 talks, and basically said, hey, the game's going to end. Let's talk about what people want for the end game ranking. And basically I laid out a plan on who to take what stars to make sure everyone's happy. Spymort said he just wants 3rd. I promised Jubelfett 2nd. Skilly, I think, just wants to be on the winning team. So we're like, fine, I'll go 1. Jubelfett 2, Spymort 3. Here's the specific stars. So basically, I would get all of Darmodi's old stars and all of JSE stars. I said I also did want to get the final star to be his homeworld, just for style points. And then Jubelfett will get all of the red and some of these down here, and the math should work out. The only thing that makes me a little nervous still makes me a little nervous because he's not like just giving him up, he's making me fight for it, but he hasn't launched, which is good. And then I had already launched down here to cut over to JSE, and he's defending it. So he's still defending himself, which I guess is fair. But we'll see. I mean, the only thing that could happen is Jubelfett and JSE and the people that are left all team up on us. But I think at this point it just doesn't even matter. So we'll just keep plugging away. We're making good progress over here in the east. The next cycle, this should be even more cleared up, and we'll be down just to a couple of players and just finishing up collecting stars. Cycle 36, we are almost done. We're at 203 stars out of the required 227. We're going to get another 1, 2, 3 here from, actually 1, 2, 3, 4 from our allies, so then we'll be 20 short. Little mini goal here is to take the homeworld of the Jewish Star Empire. He has everything going there to protect it because I've told him that. But we'll probably take another 15 from Spymort on the way in from the north, and then a few on the peripheral, and try to end exactly so the final star that triggers the game will be his homeworld. And doesn't his little world look like a constellation of a warrior
So this is like his body and his heart. This is like his head. He's got like this sword. Maybe it's like a broken sword. He's like stepping forward into the battle, and you can tell it's a boy. That's kind of cool looking thing. Anyway, so yeah, that's it. We're not going to progress anywhere over in the west. We made that commitment to Spymort, so we'll just take these northern stars and end the game. And I'm also gonna try to do 2 other things. One, get Jubalfet into 2nd place, which will be a little bit tricky, but let's see if we can do that. And then if we can get Bellum, who's been making, I told him I would escort him back to his home at Belstar, so he is almost home. And there we have it. The game is over. Team 4 is victorious. Spymort set off some fireworks to celebrate the end. JSE kept his star despite my attempts at the end. I just didn't want to prolong the game any further. We did get Bellum back temporarily to his star, but Spymort stole it back, but at least we got him home for a little bit. And that concludes it. So thank you, Stoned 8, for organizing this. It was super fun. Loved learning about playing with formal alliances, learning about the Stoned 8 tool, playing with a bunch of people that were super dedicated, and it was a blast. I'm looking forward to doing it again.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, click on the link for the next episode, and don't forget to click subscribe for more content.